everybody, I'm Tommy. How the heck are you? Welcome to the boat. This is back by popular demand. It also happens to be a story that is evolving so fast that if you don't stay on top of it, this is an easy one to really get lost in the minutia. Sandy Wendy, good to see you. Renee B, what's happening? Because there is so much going on in this, and there is so much being reported, and not all of it is accurate. Aspire to inspire. Good to see you. This is, again, it's moving pretty damn quick. Hi, Ash Bash. We need to kind of stay on top of this. We are entering the fourth day. Hey, first time you caught a live? Well, how cool is that? Jennifer Minton, good to see you. Yo, yo, yo. Hey. Honey, how are you? Barbara Waite, good to see you. So here's the deal. Currently, there's a lot of information that's being put out there. We are assuming, and I'm guilty as anyone else, but we're assuming that the ransom note is real. And one of the reasons we're assuming that is because it has been reported that they said, hey, such and such was broken inside the house. Now, these are leaks. They're coming from sources, reliable sources. Ashley Banfield, of course, came out with something yesterday to say that the son-in-law of Nancy, or the brother-in-law of Savannah, her sister Annie's husband, this cat right here, they're saying that this guy is the number one suspect. That is Tommaso. And by all accounts, he got along fantastically with his mother-in-law. He was very, very kind to her, did a lot to help care for her. But this is the narrative right now. Whether or not that's true, again, no one is backing any of this stuff up. Island Girl, good to see you. It is a sad situation. Lisa Smith, how are you? But here's the deal. Sherry Dobbs, good to see you. But here's the thing. You kind of have to, if you're the police, there's no vested interest whatsoever for you coming out and going, yeah, we got a guy right in the crosshairs. What you're hoping is that these people are going to continue to make a case. But there's some unusual stuff that if we put some critical thinking to, they had teams of people out searching, right? Literally like walking through areas. And the massive search was called off 30 hours in. And that's got to make you scratch your head a little bit, right? She is an 84-year-old woman. They called that off because they don't think she walked away, right? You're not getting notification. Are you doing something wrong? I don't know. When this is over, go in there, back out, right? Unsubscribe, God forbid. But unsubscribe, then resubscribe and try it again. And there are people that have said that that has helped. If you don't want to unsubscribe and go through all that, just at least hit the turn off notifications, then turn them back on. People have had some success with that. Allegedly. But if I don't go at 8:30, then I go at 9 o'clock on the East Coast, at least at night. But I'm doing other stuff during the day. This case is fascinating for a whole lot of reasons. I was drawn in. Hey, Kathy, I was drawn in early on this. And I think the reason that I was is I know this area really, really well. Like I lived in the Catalina foothills and I know this area. And I was talking about this on the last show, but when they built these properties, they built them so that animals could run through them, right? So these are huge mini ranches, sometimes 4 and 5 acres, right? They're big chunks of land with the houses in the middle of it. They say that this woman couldn't walk 50 yards without assistance. Even in a house like that, you're going to be walking 50 yards to get into the car. I feel like me personally, I want this to be a kidnapping because if there's a kidnapping, there's a serious vested interest in keeping this woman alive, right? Because that's kind of the only way you get paid. Edward, good to have you here. I'm not trying to be macabre here, people, but the first thing that anyone is going to want is proof of life. Keeping up with me is a job, Jeannie Hansen. Yeah, I'm telling you, you should ask my wife. Pro tip, if you always... if you always hit the like button, YouTube isn't as likely to unsubscribe and better about sending notifications. That is said like a true lifeboater right there. I really appreciate that. Tiffany B, good to have you here. If you haven't hit subscribe, go ahead and do that. Then hit the bell for notification and make sure you're pounding the crap out of that like button because that is going to show engagement. And as the ever intelligent Barbara Waite says, that's going to increase the likelihood that you don't get unsubbed. It's also going to increase the likelihood that you get notifications. And we all know that's a good thing. But there's a lot of stuff that's being made about these notes. They're absolutely saying that the ransom notes, they're not admitting to any of this. There's also a there's a clip that is going viral around, and it's a couple of different people on shows. They're not letting you see Savannah Guthrie say it, but there are people out there that are saying that Savannah Guthrie said that her brother-in-law is a suspect. I can't find that anywhere. I can find good-sized channels that are talking about it, but I can't chase that down as something that is real. But you can say, statistically speaking, that this is pretty standard operating procedure, right? There's a couple of things you're going to do right off of Jump Street. Somebody gets kidnapped, they're missing, we're waiting for ransom, whatever. Who was the last person to see them? That's where the investigation is going to start. Kevin Hawthorne, Lakeland, Florida, good to see you. That's the last known intersection between the person who's missing and someone that can make a little bit of a timetable, right? Who was the last person to see them alive? Well, originally we were told it was Annie. That's Savannah's sister. And obviously Nancy's daughter. As it turns out, she was not the last one to see him. The last one to see him was Tommaso. Apparently, he dropped her off after the dinner. That's also not particularly unusual. I guess they really do get along fantastically. It is being put out in the press, and everybody and their brother are running with the fact that he is a suspect in this, or a person of interest, or something along those lines. And as I said in my earlier show, this came from Ashley Banfield. And as far as true crime goes, I mean, she's got the hang of it, right? Ashley Banfield is really, really damn good at this, and she's been doing it for decades and decades. And, she'll admit that there are times that we ran with stuff like this. The Elizabeth Smart case is one that jumps off the page. Everybody in America thought her dad did, right? And he had to live with that for 9 freaking months. She was the only thing that got him off the hook. I mean, there were people the morning that they found her wandering the street wearing a burqa, right, with the kidnappers. The day that happened, there were people on radio shows, on all kinds of shows, talking about how the old man was guilty, that there was no doubt in their mind, and they were doing psychological profiles and all of this shit. And the truth of the matter is, we don't know if Tommaso is on the hook for this. But I do tend to put a lot of faith in Ashley Banfield. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the person that's leaking her the information, I believe that what she is saying, she absolutely heard someone say. Whether or not that person is reliable, I mean, it's kind of hit or miss in this, isn't it? But again, so we're talking about a huge property, and it seems like the people that did this kidnapping were wildly aware of this big property. They knew how to get to the back. They knew how to get through that door. They knew to take the 2 cameras that are out back. These cameras don't light up at night, right? It's not something that you would walk up and be like, oh, I know there's 2 cameras right over there, unless you knew. Went on vacation to Florida 6 days and got back yesterday. Have been binge watching Tommy's live to get caught up. Glad you're catching this live too. It's good to see you. Debbie, loving life. What the heck would the motive be? Now, this is a great question because, look, there's a lot of ways you can do true crime. There are people that do an excellent job at becoming the police. The reason that they're good at doing true crime stuff is because they have that kind of mind that can look at this and go, what would a prosecutor say about this? For better or for worse, that's not how I do it. I am the exact opposite of this. And I look at this purely from a what would a criminal do kind of a thing. Hello. Look at that. It's the old wiffle pop. The old ball. And I'm just kidding. Great to see you, Reese. It's always an honor to have you in my chat. It really is. The motive. So here's the thing, Barbara Waite. From a criminal standpoint, it is a bad idea to take an 84-year-old person with you, right? This is a hell of a lot of effort and a hell of a lot of work. Number one, this person doesn't walk right? By all accounts, 50 yards is a stretch. You're going to have to take care of this person. You're going to have to feed this person, and you're going to have to do it with friggin' kid gloves on because their skin's going to tear easily. They're going to bruise super easily, and anything like that isn't going to stop bleeding, right? She has a pacemaker. She's definitely, I promise you, on a blood thinner. And, my dad would get nicked, just a nick on his leg playing golf or whatever, and it would bleed for a day and a half. It's very difficult to get that stuff to stop bleeding. I saw Brian Enton that the police have put up crime tape again this evening. I heard that too. I also have heard that they are in the process right now of doing a grid search, right? They've got a lot of assets now back out at the scene. Why that is, I don't know, right? I honestly don't know. I don't know that anyone does. Brian is pretty solid. For real, Brian is super solid. He's good at what he He's good at what he does. He's not one of those true crime guys that just BS's. He goes out and he gets in the middle of it. And, you'll hear him asking questions at these press conferences. He's everywhere. He really is. He was outside as it was being put up. Yeah, and I talked about this on the last show. The problem is if you don't put that up, right? If you don't put up that crime scene tape, and you will not regret it. She's funny as hell. If you're not good about putting up that crime scene tape, what ends up happening is just what happened. Brian, who I love, man, I don't have an issue with Brian, but people were trampsing all over that crime scene, right? Now you want to go back and look at something? It has just been contaminated by how many sets of elbows, asses, and feet, right, that just go walking through that thing. And I'm not trying to be a dick about this. I'm really not. It just seemed like really stupid. It seemed shoddy. And I'm no cop, right? But it seems to me that the more you can, lock down a crime scene, the less of a chance you have of having an O.J. Simpson trial. And let's be really honest. I mean, that is what happened with O.J. The number of people that traipsed through every one of those crime scenes, like they would take pictures and you'd see people and be like, who the hell is that? Actually, somebody delivering pizza. I mean, it was like every single thing that could go wrong did, and it was because they didn't lock down that crime scene. In fact, the cops that first went there, they left the crime scene open to go look for OJ, which I got to admit is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. I just saw Savannah's and siblings on Instagram talking to the kidnapper and demanding proof of life for ransom. You just saw this on Instagram? Talking to the kidnapper. Well, that is downright bizarre. But I would love for this to be true because, as I said, if this is a legitimate kidnapping, and people are going to go, why? What else could it be? Could be a lot of things, honestly. There's a lot made about 72 hours, right? MJ says yes, it is posted. Well, then that should give us all hope. Honest to God, it should give us all hope, and it also gives you a pretty good idea of how fast this is evolving. Joy Marie says this is AI. I would doubt that kind of stuff is happening yet. I'm sure it will because it's just that kind of a scummy world that we live in. But I would kind of doubt that. Well, I am Agnes Levy posted it. Okay, I'm just I'm praying that this is exactly what it is. It's kidnapping. Then the criminals have a vested interest in taking care of that woman. I'm not trying to sound I'm not trying to sound cold-hearted in any way, right? But there is a vested interest. Yes. Hold on one second. Amazingly, someone's at my door. I am a professional. You do not want to try this at home, right? Seriously, don't try this at home. Just made a plea on CNN too. It's got to be literally the most trying thing that could ever happen to anybody. And by all accounts, this is really a tight-knit family. Losing her father when she was as young as she was certainly seems to have brought everybody in this family closer together, including Tommaso, for the record. But I guess we're going to find out. But it's heart-wrenching. And but if by some chance they're talking to the kidnappers and talking about proof of life, because one of the things that you have to assume. So this supposed ransom note, right? It was really a ransom email. It was actually sent to 3. We had said earlier that it was sent to KOLD and it was sent to TMZ, and that's true. But it was also sent to KGUN, which is the ABC affiliate in Tucson. So they were covering their bases, but all of them are the exact same letter. And again, people, I only come at these things like a criminal would. Miss Nancy could suffer a reaction being taken with an unforeseen medical emergency. Absolutely. It's one of the other reasons that this is just one of those crimes that doesn't pay off normally. To take somebody of this age is just, it is more of a headache than it's probably worth. And $2 million is the number that's being leaked. If that's accurate, that just seems like, I don't know. It makes me think more copycat than anything else, right? Because it just doesn't seem legitimate to me for $2 million. This is a shit ton of effort and a whole lot of risk for $2 million. It doesn't make any sense. Cali Chaos, I feel the same way. This is heartbreaking. It really is. It's heartbreaking. And this is, we, as true crime people, a lot of the stuff that we take a look at is over before we take a look at it, right? Hard to believe she's still alive. But if this is a kidnapping, a dead person is not worth anything. I'm not trying to sound cold-hearted, right? But just from a crime standpoint, if you're kidnapping somebody, there is not going to be any money transferred over without a proof of life. And it's kind of like the established, this is how it works with kidnappings. And as I was saying a moment ago, people talk about that 72-hour period of time, right? And after 72 hours, the odds of those kidnapped people being found go dramatically down. And the truth is, there's nothing to back that up. The statistic is based on people who go missing, not people who are kidnapped. Those are two different things. People that are kidnapped, they're usually going to be reaching out to you. And very often those people are found after 72 hours. I actually looked that up today. Police mistakes cost of the victims highly. A case I was involved with was a child sexual offender, and the police didn't search his house. He got videos of his victims, and he would have a bigger sentence. That's horrible, but it does happen. There are, and you know what? It's a hard job to do. Did we find out if there are any money issues in the family? As of right now, Valerie, there is nothing being reported about that. From the frozen north of Canada, love this show. I'm glad that you're here. This is a, I don't know, this feels amateur hour to me. I'm absolutely blown away. I talked about this on the earlier show, but if you have not seen it, there is a demand of $2 million. That $2 million is to be put on the blockchain, put on Bitcoin. They want 2 million in Bitcoin. This is going to not be untraceable. The fact that these people, hey, Buffy, good to see you again. The fact that these people believe that it's untraceable kind of makes it feel like these are either copycats that are trying to get paid off of the crime, right? Or it's amateur hour. The fact that that it was sent by email again feels like amateur hour. It doesn't make a crap bit of difference how many different ways that you, I am back. It doesn't matter how many different layers you try to put on top of this with encryption and I'm going to use a virtual private network, and I'm going to use one of those programs that masks it's going to have an internet service provider number on it. David, I feel the same way. You're a good man. But there's going to be a fingerprint, right? No matter what the hell happens, there's going to be a fingerprint. In my opinion, 2 million sounds like a low amount. Of course it does, right? By all accounts, and it takes about 4 minutes to look this up, even on Google. She's worth in the ballpark of $50 million. This would be Savannah. And she gets about an $8 million a year salary. It seems to me that someone, and I know it sounds scummy, people, but this is what true crime is, right? We speculate on some things, and it doesn't make sense from a criminal standpoint. Number one, I find it very difficult to believe, especially if the people don't know the victim. If the people were not people that knew Nancy, it's going to take more than one person to pull this off. You're basically at some point going to be carrying this woman because she can't make that walk. And you can't risk running her into the ground and killing her. I'm not trying to be cold-hearted, but these are things that you have to take into account when you are in the process of trying to kidnap someone. We've all seen Fargo. I think amateurs as well, they obviously do not understand that Bitcoin is not untraceable. Yeah, and on top of that, and I'm so glad to hear you say that. I know a lot of people were worried about it, kid. Very happy about that. Then not only is the Bitcoin not going to be untraceable, but you're going to lock that money up, and then going to get that money is how you are going to get caught. It's just that simple. You absolutely can get a wallet. People were lighting me up in the comment section. You don't have to give your information to get a wallet, a place to dump Bitcoin, like a virtual wallet. And you don't. I said this earlier on my show. I don't know how they missed it, but there are at least 5 different platforms that I'm aware of that will let you set up a wallet without any ID at all. However, then somebody dumps stuff into that, Now we already have a trail that's starting. When you then want to take that and turn it into money, right? You're going to be very easy to track. Red Flat says the meds seem to be a big thing. Take some that age. You have to assume, need for meds. This is a huge need for meds too. You're absolutely right on this. If they planned for that, how did they do that? It makes it scream that if this is an inside job, if everybody is right, and this is a Tommaso thing, by all accounts, he goes out of his way to take care of this woman. I would imagine he knows what her medical needs would be. And as people were saying, he may have taken a pill bottle that's not the one that's up there. My dad used to have, it was just crazy. He'd get a different doctor. The doctor would write the same stuff. None of it narcotics, all just stuff for his chest. But you'd open the medicine chest and it looked like a friggin' pharmacy. He may have had, he being not necessarily the brother-in-law. I'm assuming this is men that did this, but they may have been able to grab some of those pills. Ashley G says she isn't around anymore. I hope against hope that this is a kidnapping, right? That the letters sent to TMZ, to KGUN, KGUN, ABC, Tucson, Arizona, and to KOLD, which is another local affiliate there in Tucson. The letters that were sent there, they're gonna have the exact same ability. If you don't know what you're doing, just sending the email sends metadata with it. They're going to be able to see who else you have reached out to, any kind of thing that goes on with that. Unless you're clearing that every single time, then you're actually sending off your metadata with that. And it's not something that makes a hell of a lot of sense to me. But I was researching it today and they said, no, you really have to be careful. We don't have to be careful because we're not kidnapping people, but criminals would have to be. Do you think the kidnappers are under 35? I don't. I think we're going to find out that the kidnappers are in their 50s. It's weird. The kidnapper wants $2 million in crypto, whatever that is, knowing Savannah's worth. Things that make you go, Also, there have been people that have. There are people that have been speculating a lot about some of these things. Maybe it has to do with an inheritance. If you're killing someone to get an inheritance, faking that it's a kidnapping is probably not a great way to get away with it. I read somewhere that Miss Nancy's pacemaker was still signaling her doctor's office. Don't know if that's possible, but I'm hopeful. Well, here's the thing, that you're going to have to be within a certain distance. So it would not be directly linking to it doesn't have the ability to link to a satellite. I looked this up today. It does have the ability to link to your phone on the counter, and then your phone can link to the satellites. But you have to have it linked to your smartwatch or your smartphone. It's just that simple, right? So the other thing that people are saying, and I've heard a bunch of people speculate on this, is that what if we're wrong? And at 2:00 in the morning, it wasn't that, hey, Tommy Bird, it wasn't that these two things got unpaired. What if it was really that Nancy died at that time? And that's why we saw this thing unsync from the phone. And I've heard a bunch of people on different shows, even some big shows, saying this today. That's not going to happen because the pacemaker is just an electronic device. It doesn't give a rat's ass whether or not your heart's beating. It's going to continue to try to do the same thing. And it's going to stay linked up to that device until it gets separated from that device. You could be laying on the floor dead. It's still going to be saying, tried to hit him with this many joules of electricity to get the heart going again. It doesn't have a default mechanism so that if you die, it shuts itself off. It doesn't do that. It's going to keep sending signals to wherever the base is for 5 to 15 years, depending. Nina Hound says, I heard this evening that her pacemaker is pinging. I hope that is the truth. My understanding is, it could ping off of somebody else's Wi-Fi, right? But it doesn't, if you think about like a cell phone, right? You have a transmitter that's built into that they're not going to have the same device inside a pacemaker. It is designed to go, 30 feet, 50 feet, whatever, from a base. And that base then does the recording. They forgot to turn off my mom's pacemaker when we turned the vent off. Really? That's crazy. Yeah, it's a short distance, as imagine that. It doesn't mean she's alive, but we can't say it stopped transmitting because she died. It wouldn't stop transmitting. That's just the part I'm trying to get across. But you're absolutely right. It does not prove anything like that. Really appreciate all the time and effort you put into researching true crime cases you share with us. Thank you. What the Fox? Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's huge, man. It really is. Thank you. That's very generous, and I appreciate it. This is a Red Flat says, didn't they wait 48 hours to send a note? Well, here's the thing. Did they? Because we're kind of, and I'm guilty as sin of this. I'm not picking on you. But do we know that they did? Because in all honesty, we're not exactly sure. At hour 30, as I was saying a moment ago, at hour 30, they called off the search. Maybe they got the first ransom note. Maybe they were contacted before that. Then maybe the kidnappers decide, I haven't heard anything, or they're not reaching out or whatever, and then started mailing them to news agencies. But I find it really odd, right, that they stopped sending crews out to search. That usually doesn't happen, right? They usually exhaust that. They can go days until weather or something else calls it off. This wasn't like that. Why send a letter to TMZ of all places? More things that make you go, I agree with you. I agree with you. But so there are people out there right now that are going, just because she's kidnapped doesn't mean it has anything to do with her daughter. With all due respect, are you kidding me? Trust and believe this is about her daughter. Right? It absolutely is about the fact that this is a famous woman in America, and they assume she's got money. And I think because of her notoriety, they figure it's going to be less traceable if they send an email to TMZ and they do it from some, made account or whatever. I promise you, they're gonna find out where it pings off of. They're really good at this electronic shit. I started to look up the statistics on kidnappings. And the truth of the matter is there are a lot of kidnappings every year. I mean, an ungodly amount, but most of them are not in the United States. If you take kidnappings just inside the United States, about 91% get solved in the first really short period of time. And this is new. It didn't used to be that way. It's like 47% improvement over like 5 years early. And the reason for that is because we are getting so damn good at sort of linking all of these things together. The Internet of Things, right? The Internet of Things now makes it so that, you drive down the street in your car and you're like, I left my phone at the house. Like, I'm not an idiot. Your car is making phone calls, right? It's pinging off of every tower as it goes by. It's emitting a signal to hit every one of those towers. Now, when I looked up the pacemaker today, they said it does not do that. While blood was found in the entryway and inside, official confirmation of whose DNA it is has not been released. That's a fact. And the evidence is currently being tested in Phoenix. And they said yesterday that all the DNA that they found came back to Nancy. And there is no proof of that at all. I was chasing that down today. And imagine that is correct. No one has officially confirmed that. Debbie, thank you so much. Let's start a chain. If everyone does a super chat of even just a couple of bucks, it won't matter that the big red button doesn't pay for giving facts. We appreciate you. That's a very kind thing to say. Here's the thing. It's disrespectful as all hell to say the word grape when there are people in my audience. And I've broached this subject many times because we cover true crime. And the number of people who are in my audience who have endured sexual assault or have been raped, it is disrespectful to every one of those people if I say grape. Thank you so much for your generosity. I really appreciate you, Debbie. But I'm not going to say things like grape. I'm not going to say sexual assault because it makes it sound like these things are funny, and they're not friggin' funny. So if they want to ding me a little bit on that, I'll be all right. Okay. Hi, all. Sounds like Ashley Banfield might owe the son-in-law an apology. If he's innocent, I sure hope he sues the pants off her. Such irresponsible journalism. I got to be honest with you. I'm a huge fan of hers. Nevertheless, Nevertheless, thank you very much from the world. My dad would have got a kick out of that. I'll tell you a good story someday about that. But my dad, that was one of my dad's favorite expressions, what he said. She said the source was impeccable, and she's been damn good for a really long time. But I kind of have to agree that this is one of those situations where you don't want the son-in-law knowing he is the person of interest or he is their number one suspect. And I understand. I mean, I am, I'm not a journalist, but I could be if Reese would help me. She's not going to hear that, but I find it funny. Plus, poor Savannah, she probably feels guilty for putting her mom into the public eye on her show. I'll tell you something else. Thank you again, the world. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate all the support from all of you. This is kind of key, right? Because I, as I said on one of my last shows, I went over and I looked at Nancy's digital footprint, and it is absolutely incredible. Literally, absolutely incredible. Just how nasty and how far you heard it all. This really has the ability to give somebody way more access to your loved ones or to yourself than you want. A wide open Facebook page like the one that she had. I almost had a heart attack when I went on it. I'm not shitting you, because I figured I might go over there and get a picture of the woman, or at least see what she uses for a face shot or whatever. And I went over there, and it's like every one of her photos, all of the stuff. There are pictures of the inside of her house. There's pictures of the outside of her house. There's pictures of her with a daughter. Like, anybody that wanted to stalk this woman could go by, look at this page. It's terrifying how much information that we put out and we don't even think about it. This isn't just a person either. It's a famous person, but the witchy woman, she got the moon in her eye. Woo! I'm kidding. She's not witchy. Hell of a picture, though, isn't it? Use those use the Scientology powers for good, Reese. You know what to do. YouTube makes everyone self-censor. Yeah, they do, but not all of us are going to bite. For real. You guys have stuck with me through thick and thin for a long period of time, and I got more respect from my audience than that. I didn't used to. I'll admit that. But when I came back to true crime, I started doing it differently, and I'm pretty proud of it, actually. So do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. You'll thank me later. Kelly ripped Haley in such a huge disappointment. Oh, yes. I'm concerned that this guy may not be an actual suspect, because this is going to trash his life something fierce. Here's another thing that you can't prove, and it's getting reported all over God's creation, that the car was impounded, right, as evidence. Not only is that not being verified, but the people at the Pima County Sheriff's Department said, no, that didn't happen. Once again, they may have a vested interest in keeping the cards really close to their chest. If you remember the Brian Koberger case, right, and most of you I'm sure will, that wicked witchcraft. Boy, you're not kidding, man. It's vexed, I tell you. This is, in my humble opinion, we're probably going to find ourselves in a situation that there's more than one person here. I think that there's a damn good chance that this is going to be a situation where more than one individual went in there to grab her. And I think canines are coming, cops are bringing them. Yeah, it seems odd that they took a long-ass chunk of time off, right? I mean, yes, there's still been a couple of groups that are, but they look like they're looking for not a person. They look like they're looking for evidence. They're doing them in the little 6-inch by 6-inch, grid positions. It's a very different thing than sending out crews to go looking for the woman. And I wonder, I'm not being morbid, but I wonder if they're bringing in cadaver dogs. I wonder whether or not, because this was reported earlier by people on the boat, that Savannah Guthrie is now on Instagram, allegedly talking with the kidnappers, and they're asking for proof of life. Leslie, I don't see a purpose in the murder. right? This is me personally. Like from a criminal point of view, who pays somebody to whack somebody's mother, right? Doesn't make any sense to me at all. Well, that's one thing we could call it, kid. The power of the witchy woman. Yeah, I don't think that someone would hire anyone to kill Savannah Guthrie's mom. Can't figure out a motive. Well, there's only two that I can come up with, right? Neither of them are particularly pleasant. However, one of them has a much better chance of a higher survival rate. There are people who are vicious predators who prey specifically on older people. And there was some research that I was doing on this particularly fun subject matter, right? But I was actually doing a little deep dive on this. It's an ugly crime, but it normally is committed the older the victim, right, of the predator, than the younger the predator. So if you see somebody that is, ends up being raped, and they're raped at the age of 75, right? Science says the person that you're going to find that did it, chances are is not in their 50s. Chances are they're going to be in their 20s or even in their late teens. Not exactly sure why the hell that is, but science and statistics back that up. So, I mean, somebody could have taken her for that kind of gratification. It's not a pleasant thing to talk about, unlike panty hamsters, which are a pleasant thing to talk about. It's not a pleasant thing to talk about, but it is one of the two realities that very well could be the case. You could, without a shadow of a doubt, have that kind of a sick bastard involved in this. And then the other side is, what's the other motivation? The other motivation is money. Pure, unadulterated greed. But again, if you're someone that's just going to go out and go for a kidnapping, maybe don't grab somebody that's 84. I'm not trying to sound particularly cold-hearted, but if you were going to do that, why not grab a younger relative? It's a absolute burden trying to influence an 84-year-old and lead them around and get them to do what you want them to do without causing them to bleed. I heard a lot of speculation today that people may have, they're guessing that to get her in line, they may have punched her in the face once. And I even speculated on that a little this morning. But the more I think about it, I don't think that makes a lot of sense to me, right? This is, she's frail by all accounts, right? Most 84-year-old men or women aren't, strapping and ready to fight. So I think that subduing them, but in the process of subduing somebody 84 years old, their skin is very thin. They're on blood thinners. I think it's very likely that you could have caused somebody like that to bleed without it being intentional. I told the story on an earlier live, but I was walking with my mother in Nevada, and she slipped and fell. It was in the wintertime, and I grabbed her before she hit the ground. But the mark that I put on her arm from grabbing her arm with my hand, and if you've never met me in person, thank you, David Booley. I appreciate that. If you've never met me in person, I have really big hands. It's the first thing most people notice. Always money. Kidnapping an 84-year-old sick woman is too much to maintain. I'm telling you, right? Broken hips, all kinds of things that are legitimate concerns, right? This, I keep wondering what takes place in a person's brain that makes them even think of kidnapping an 84-year-old. How does the brain make that turn? That is an absolutely great question. And believe it or not, she's right. Older skin can tear like paper. I really like your channel. The analysis, honesty, and realness is appreciated. Wow, so is the support. That means the world to me. It really does. It does. Now, I think this is worth talking about. As my last friend said, what makes this happen? Why would someone do this? And to me, this stinks of desperation. This smells awfully like desperation. It doesn't make a lot of sense to grab somebody that's 84 years old. But if you find yourself in a position that has got you so desperate, that's when criminals make really stupid decisions across the board. I promise you. Desperation, how does my wife say it? It's a stinky cologne. I'm pretty sure that's how she says it. Desperation is a stinky cologne. And the truth of the matter is, I think this is desperation. And I don't know what it is that, if this is the son-in-law, and this is a huge if, man, right? I don't want to see this guy vilified if he didn't do anything. Could people be hoping for easy money paying off her gone missing? Yeah. Yeah, see, it's a stinky cologne. Thank you again, Carla Martin. I really appreciate that. And you know what's funny? The woman who taught me Latin when I was in school back in the day was named Carla Martin. We called her Carla Kilmartin, and I'm not exactly sure why, but that was the nickname. But Carla Martin was my teacher. But I really appreciate the support. That's huge, people. This one, you guys really help. It means a lot to me. Drugs or gambling debts? Absolutely. Or somebody that just, a lot of times, and this is just an opinion, man, or this is just an opinion, but if they're right, and this is the son-in-law, then it's not a wild stretch between this and tying it to the Nick Reiner type of thing, honestly and for real. Because what you end up with is somebody that sits around and watches people with a lot of money who seem to have fame and fortune and everything you want, and it makes people do really sick stuff. People get that love of money, right? It doesn't say that money is the root of all evil. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. And to think that you can, like that stinky cologne, like Axe, I don't use all over body sprays. I don't know that they make one strong enough, right? Make me think of the Leonard Skinner song, "Ooh, that smell. Can't you smell that smell? Smell that's around you." Never heard of it. What song is that? Whiskey bottles, brand new cars. There are months where I'm choosing food or bills. Oh, man. Yet never does my brain tell me to do some horrific thing. I'll tell you something, just Joan, and I believe this wholeheartedly, right? It's bad wiring. This is not the kind of thing that a criminal does. I think it was Tara that said it earlier, right? She said, this is a crime, but it wasn't committed by a criminal. And I absolutely believe that. It's even, and I'm not talking about, well, criminals have a code of ethics. No, they don't. They don't have they don't have ethics in any way, shape, or form, right? However, they go for the easiest common denominator. Criminals aren't sitting around and going, you know what? What would make this way more difficult? What would greatly increase our chances of getting caught? I know. Let's get the oldest victim we possibly could get our hands on. There's a happy medium between, someone that is so old that you have to take care of them and somebody that's so young that they're a danger in trying to grab it. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, Cindy G says, hugs, love, and prayers for those needing or wanting, and I hope that we include in that. It's cell block number 9. It's cell block number 9. That's okay, though. Don't bring me the 5. I would be offended like you wouldn't believe. Oh, please, you don't need to feel sorry for me. Well, I mean, it's not that. It's just it's a shit sandwich that the earth finds itself in that place. That should never happen. Proof of life problem. They forgot her heart meds. Well, here's the thing. We kind of have to believe that they did, right? Because we don't know for sure, Leslie. What they're saying is that she was taken without her pills. We don't know whether or not they have some of those. We don't know whether or not they took a 1-week supply. If she had other pills at the house that they grabbed. Now, they went through the house. Maybe they're seeing that where those pills are, there's no DNA. There's no, it doesn't show that anything's been moved. Who knows? But I'd like to believe that she does. Yeah. Barbara Wade says there has to be a connection with all those big houses. They need a reason to choose her house. And you got to case the shit out of it. I'm sorry, but from a criminal standpoint, you're going to be going there late at night. It's going to be dark. You're going to be walking through the mother-loving desert, right? I mean, for real. And it is dark up in the Catalina foothills. It's not without streetlights, which is what people are saying. But there are streetlights that are so few and far in between that there are a lot of very, very dark areas. It was designed with animals in mind. YouTube delete most of my comments because I don't self-censor either, but the algorithm is AI. I don't cuss and I comment only truth only. I love that. I really do, legalize. And I'm working on my cursing. I'm not doing a very good job, but I'm working on it. This is striking me a little John Benet Ramsey just saying, here's where I would say the difference is. because I actually thought about this, Janet. I thought about this for a while today because you think of other things and you start trying to draw parallels or whatever. You want to hear one of the big differences? And I'm not going to make anybody happy, but that's okay. The Benets fought giving their phones up, right? They fought the prosecution at every turn. They did things that made them look guilty. And I understand that doesn't mean that you're guilty, but they didn't want to hand over, the family's phones. There's a lot of weird shit having to do with that. Allegedly, even the son-in-law and everybody else, allegedly, has been very cooperative. We know that they brought out a crew of people. I can't think of the name of them, but there's a crew that comes out, and normally they only deal with crimes against children, but they happen to be the best at tracing things online because they're looking for freaks with child porn and shit like that. So, but they're the best at tracing that. And that van was out there today going through that stuff. I would think it's money motivated. If it was a sexual deviant, they wouldn't have taken her with them, right? Well, here's the thing. It just depends, right? There are people, and again, I'm not trying to be really, really dark, but you get to one of those situations where there are people that would grab them and take them with. And the reason is because of how fantastic crime scene investigation has come. No one's going to do anything inside the house. It's going to leave all kinds of stuff behind. They would probably be more likely to grab her and run. But again, at 84, like that's just bad juju. You're going to, if you're doing this for any reason of gratification or whatever, she's not going to last long, right? That's a very, very old person, and to be putting them through the kind of shock, that kind of shit would do. It's just awful. The Ramseys really did resist. I know. And here's the thing. Once they got everything, it wasn't like there was anything in there to incriminate them. This is a great question. The internet crimes against children. ICAC. Thank you. Imagine that. Look at that. See that? It's a true crime audience right there, man. True crime audience. Edward says the hidden true crime is running the Savannah Guthrie and the family plea to kidnappers now. It's heart-wrenching, isn't it? Right? It's heart-wrenching. But I don't know the answer to this, Cliff Ann, and neither does anyone else. They have given us reason to believe in both directions, right? There's reason to believe that this is legit. And one of the reasons would be if you just start looking at the totality of everything, it kind of looked like they stopped looking, right? They also then came out and did a press conference where they said, we're not going to do any other press conferences until Thursday unless something comes up that demands that we do that. To me, that sounds like a group of people that know where this woman is. And it's a leap. It's a leap. But that doesn't make sense to me. Why are you not still looking for her after hour 30? How do you have the balls to come out and say, yeah, we won't be talking to any of you until Thursday? What? You're not going to be asking us to be out looking and all of this stuff? It seems odd, but no one will say one way or the other. So if they're asking for ransom, is she still alive? You would assume so. Because once again, from a criminal standpoint, a dead body is worth nothing, right? Nobody pays off a kidnapper who asks for money and can't prove that they have the person, because copycats and lowlifes who try to capitalize on these kind of tragedies pop up all over the place all the time. And it could be somebody in another country. That's one of the things with emails and with Bitcoin. If they're using a virtual private network, they can make it look like they're in a part of the world that they're not. There are apps like Tunnel Bear that does that, which is supposed to hide where you are sending emails from. Nevertheless, all it does is make it more difficult, right? All it does is continually make it more difficult. It isn't that the people in law enforcement, the federal and the state level, can't go in there and find just what they're looking for, because they can. Whenever the culprit is caught, I hope they're charged with the enhancement for committing crimes against the elderly. I would be shocked if they weren't. Child abduction, rapid deployment, card. That could have been it too, Janet Jacob. Thank you. Imagine that. Says Savannah is asking for proof of life. There is no kidnapping without proof of life. If not, you're just a copycat piece of shit that's trying to get paid. And people do this all of the time. All the time. As nasty as that is, there are people that are just, they're They're waiting on the edge of their seat to come in like a bunch of pirates and go, we got her, send us some money. It does seem odd. If it really took 48 hours, that's bizarre. Even from a pure crime standpoint, right? Just from purely from a true crime standpoint. When a person goes missing in that first 24 hours, they are the most scared. There is the smallest amount of police activity, right? The police activity is going to ramp up. In the very beginning, they're wondering whether or not she just walked off. This happens with old people who have dementia all the time, blah, blah, blah. You have to kind of eliminate, well, there's no chance she went off with a family member. How do we know she didn't do this, this, and this? That takes up a chunk of time. If you call in the middle of that and go, we got her, there's a lot less cop action. It just makes sense that when you kidnap someone, you don't wait 2 days to hit them with a ransom demand. To me, or they're just complete and utter amateur hour. My heart breaks for Miss Nancy's grandchildren. And you know what, people? I'm not trying to sound like a dirtbag, but why not grab a grandchild, right? Just seriously, from a standpoint of you're trying to ransom somebody, you could buy chicken nuggets a couple of times a day. They're much easier to take care of somebody who is, still very vital and very young and in great shape. If a ransom letter is sent out, proven false, what could the charges be? Oh, Lord. First, right off the bat, the first one that would jump out would be fraud. And you're doing it online, so it would be wire fraud, trying to extract money using the internet through con. There's a bunch of different things they could come at you for. Yeah, there's a lot of crimes that they can hit you for. If Savannah thought her sister was involved, I don't think she'd want her in the video with her. I wonder if that's an indication of anything. That's a very interesting point, Ash Bash. What do you guys think on that? What do you think on that? If you know that the son-in-law is a suspect, would you maybe have her in that video just to make it look like you're not onto them? I don't know. It's an uncomfortable ass situation to think about. No matter what's going on, can you imagine that the discomfort in that little photo shoot? If they're not suspects, you're sitting next to them going, hey, sorry that they're saying your husband did this. I mean, that's even worse of a bummer, right? Or they're sitting there going, yeah, that all that's BS. And they're looking at their sister like, man, let me find out. No, and I bet Savannah would have asked her sister for proof he was with her. What one human will do to another amazes me. Yeah, I know, right? I look at people differently now. What is going on in their minds? Are they a threat? I miss the open walks in a small town with no worries. That's a really tough thing, isn't it? I mean, honest to goodness, it's a really tough thing. Is there a death penalty in Arizona? You know what? I don't know the answer to that, but someone's going to look it up real quick because we got a great audience. 40 hours without her medicine. I don't think she's alive, unfortunately. I'm not trying to be a bummer. It's 89 hours without her medication. She was snatched 89 hours ago, right? It's a bummer, but it's also the truth. We're on hour 89, and that's based on the 2 a.m. number. If we go off of the last time that she was spotted, we're up around 94 hours. If mom is being held, family don't want to put any pressure on mom. This is really a shit show for the Guthries, all of them. This is a very difficult situation that I hope that none of us ever have to come up with, to know what this feels like. Primitive Lifeway says, Arizona native here. Look at that. Check it out. Got the Arizona shirt on. Lived there. I love Arizona. I think Savannah and Annie are so distraught at this point. Their minds must be spinning. Think about the support Nick Reiner initially received from his siblings. Yeah, that you make a really good point. Until someone, until someone is there, you're probably always trying to give the benefit of the doubt. Arizona has a long history with the death penalty, currently housing 107 inmates on death row, with executions resuming in 2025 after a pause for review. Excellent. Thank you. Imagine that. Thank you, Cindy G. It has to be someone who knows her and her house. Bingo. I'm telling you right now, unless you have been to this part of the country, to get an idea. It's not like walking through someone's backyard, right? This is really the desert. And Quibbs will tell you, everything there can cut you, right? I mean it. Everything in Arizona can cut you. If it doesn't cut you, it can make you break out in a rash or a hives. It is a mean, mean landscape, right? Big time mean landscape. And where the cameras are, yeah, he had to know exactly where the cameras are as well. And by all accounts, right, they went in there and smashed those cameras. Lickety split. You know, how do you know where those cameras are? Now, admittedly, there's a lot of pictures of her estate on her Facebook channel, but I don't know, man. This smells to me of desperation, and it smells of an inside job. I just hope that they're going to provide proof of life. There's a good chance, I'm sorry, but there's a chance this is just bullshit. One of the things they said is, we can tell you what she wore the night she was abducted. It's like 2:00 in the morning, right? I would imagine she was wearing night clothes. And how are they going to verify what those night clothes are? Because currently, there's nobody that knows what she was wearing anyway. There's nothing to compare it to, because what the hell is going on with my camera? It's starting to piss me off a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's a little better. She may have been taken by a wild animal. We would see it, right? And around there, the kind of wild animals we have, I mean, we have javelinas, but they're not usually dragging people off. Although there are some big lizards there too. Earthquake. Yeah. Sadly, this just stinks to me of an inside job. I'm sorry, but it does. Just the fact that what they're saying now is that they entered through the back door and they exited through the front door. That's got to be, from a criminal standpoint, why wouldn't you go back out the entrance that you just went through, right? I mean, you already tracked that route. You know how to go. Maybe she's too old and you don't think you can take her through that part. But to walk out the front door, unless you are super aware of where cameras are, you would have to assume that is going to be the area of that house that's the best lit up, probably has motion sensors, and it's got cameras. But there didn't seem to be any fear about that, right? Why would they think the son-in-law could be involved? If so, what could be the reason? Well, here's the deal. The reason that everybody is speculating on it is because Ashley Banfield, who has been just a staple in true crime for a very long time, and she's very, very reliable. And she said that she has a source, one of the best sources of all time, right? One of her favorite and most reliable sources. And that individual said that the son-in-law is the number one suspect at the moment. She had people that came in and helped her clean and take care of the house, Mike Bragg. I don't know. It's not a live-in person. She lived there alone. Yeah, if it was a wild animal and cameras and rings were taken, busted, no windows broken. Yeah, if the javelinas came and got her and then took away the cameras, we're in some serious trouble down there. Why would she go out walking at 2 a.m.? She didn't. She is not a person that suffered from dementia in any way. Her body may have been failing, but by all accounts, her mind was no different than anybody in their 30s, 40s, or 50s. She was sharp as a tack. I am concerned about evidence preservation because it seems like a lot of people were walking around there. Ding, 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 Yahtzee. And anybody that's into true crime is saying the same thing. Holy hell, man. I mean, this is the kind of crap where they're going to find somebody and they're not going to be able to prosecute them because, my DNA might be there, and so is 4,000 YouTubers, right? And all of these people that walked right up to the blood-stained entryway. I'm shocked that they didn't police tape that entire property. This is what they say, right? They say Miss Nancy couldn't walk 50 yards, and she was last known to be with Annie and Tommaso. Well, in the beginning, we were told that the daughter dropped her off. Now that is being churched up, and it was not Annie that dropped her off, but the last person to see her, I almost said alive, and that's not what it is, but the last person that saw her before her disappearance, allegedly, is Tommaso. Now, they're always going to try to eliminate family before they do anything else, because once you knock family out, you're not wasting any more time. This is one of the complaints that people had with the Ramsey family. When Joan Benet went missing, why not do everything you can to get your ass off of the table so that they can now concentrate on who might have actually carried out this crime? And I think that that's kind of where they always go. The first thing you do is, who was the last person to see them? Who would that be? Tommaso? Okay. That's going to be the first place you start to do some research. Then you're going to move to the family, because statistically speaking, most abductions are family related. The stranger abductions are horrifically rare, right? We see them in movies like Taken, but they don't happen very often. I'm not saying people don't snatch up strangers off the street. I'm saying they don't do it for ransom. They said she was driving herself to and from church but needed assistance walking. Kung Fu Panda, that is what I heard as well. You absolutely need to look at the family circle. So it's not a shocker that they would be investigating this guy. And if she took that to mean that, I don't know what they said. She made it sound. I watched her. I didn't even read the transcript. I actually watched Ashley Banfield talk about it on a couple of different shows. And she said, this is a very reliable guy. And he said that is the suspect, right? Their number one suspect right now is the son-in-law. Now, that doesn't mean they can't rule him out. The same thing that happened with Elizabeth Smart's father, right? These things do happen where they chase the wrong person forever or for a long time. What is the motive for this? Why? Well, Victex, there is allegedly a ransom email that got sent to 3 locations: KGUN, KGUN, the ABC affiliate, KOLD, and then TMZ, right? 2 of them are affiliates in Tucson, Arizona, and everybody knows who Harvey Levin is. Scumbag. Excuse me. Vaping. So is everyone cooperating at this point? My understanding is that everybody is. Up to this point, everybody has been cooperating. Now, they took some phones. They also went over to Annie and Tommaso's house yesterday, allegedly, and were there for a couple of hours or whatever. I mean, they're going to do an interview with everybody. So again, we could be reading way too much into that. And whether or not they took the car, if it was my car and it was the same situation, I would have suggested it. Take my freaking car and wipe me out of this, right? Find out it ain't me so that you can go after who it is. Because until you can eliminate people, then they're suspects. And you're going to be using manpower to chase down stupid shit. So I would imagine that if he's innocent, he would want them to take that car and go through it as fast as possible. But the Pima County Sheriff's Department says, no, they didn't take any cars. They also said, no, we don't have any suspects. There's no people of interest, but you just don't know. I think the big difference between when John Bonet happened and now is that filming takes place nearly everywhere. Stores have outside cameras, banks, government buildings, and on. Easier than it was before. I agree with you. And more importantly is that our devices track where we go. They can do a wide net on the particular triangulars of the towers right there, right over that particular place. And they can put in software that says, show us everything that is pinging off of those towers at all times. All of these devices, smart refrigerators, right? Smart microwaves, whatever. But all of these different things that are pinging off of that. And then you can say, now find for me any devices that were there on this night that were not there on any other. Right? Because if you can find the people that shouldn't be there that are, you can start tracking them down. It's almost an impossible thing to get away with now because of what you can do electronically. They should be able to find a camera somewhere that shows her in the car or walking, unless she's in the trunk, right? Or being grabbed. She has to be on film somewhere. Look, they could have shoved her in the trunk. This is why you grab the person's car, right? So that you can go through there. If her DNA is in the passenger seat, it should be. She hangs out with Tommaso all the time, right? This guy really takes good care of her by all accounts. And she would have been in the car that night because allegedly they all went out to dinner, right? And were playing Mahjong. So they went out that night, played some Mahjong. Her DNA would be in that car. Her DNA wouldn't be in the trunk, right? Her blood shouldn't be in that car. Yeah, if you're innocent, what do you got to do? How can I prove I'm innocent? For real. Like if the shoe was ever on the other foot, this is how it ought to go. You should be saying to them, you want me to take a polygraph? I'll take it right freaking now. What can we do to eliminate me so that you can get to work, right? That's the best possible case scenario. The feds were brought in before they released the crime scene, right? Or am I wrong? I'm surprised that they let the scene be released so quickly or that they didn't have it resealed sooner. Ash Bash, I'm with you. There's a lot about this investigation that is already making people like us go, hey, wait a second, right? The press conferences, the way that all of this is done has been, well, it seems amateurish. I'm sorry, but it does. Impounding the sister's car is a big deal. They must have found something. Yeah, but that's being recorded by Ashley Banfield. And again, I put a lot of stake in Ashley Banfield. But nobody is verifying that yet, including the Pima County Sheriff saying it didn't happen. What are the chances that this was committed by a random person or persons? About 1% to 2%. For real, right? If for actual ransom cases, people that don't know the person they're kidnapping, I read today that 1% to 2%, at least within our country. Wherever the ransom note was sent from can be pinged and find out where that is. Absolutely, it can. Now, it may not be as easy as just that, because if they used a virtual private network, if they built a email account without showing any ID, you're going to have to track it down to the internet service provider. At which point, that ISP address is going to be somewhere. And they're going to say, well, it's on Waverly Drive. Well, now you can start trying to figure this out. It might take a little longer because there are VPNs that try to protect these people. But Trump has offered the feds help. I heard that, Grouchy Mama Bear. What are the odds that the person sending the ransom note is not the person that actually did it? It happens all the time. It happens all the time, unfortunately. Do you think it could be a caregiver or maid? I had a patient in the hospital who had a sitter. The husband always visited in the evening. He came early, and the sitter's boyfriend robbed and killed. Oh, my Lord, that's awful. But yes, it could be. And I promise you, that is one of the other things that they're going to be doing, is they're going to be looking. It is a terrible fate. You're 100% right. But we don't know that it's the fate just yet, right? I absolutely am holding out hope for the fact that they don't want to lose their money, right? And that they're keeping her alive for that reason. Close relationships dominate. In 2021, approximately 76% of female victims and 56% of male victims in the U.S. were killed by somebody they know. Happens almost all the time. And when someone is grabbing somebody for money, you got to think that it usually isn't someone that just goes, well, this actor or this actress has money, I'm going to snatch the kids. The proximity to these people makes them feel safer. They know the routines. They know the people, right? It usually does come down to people that know. It could be a false lead, just Joan. It absolutely could be. But it's being reported, right? Harvey Levin has come out and talked about the note. The note that was sent to K-Gun, that was sent to KOLD, and that was sent to TMZ, it's the same note. It's not like three different people. These came from the same, allegedly, this came from the same email address. It was sent to three different people in the press. It does seem, that also is a little bit odd. Here in the UK, a little girl was kidnapped by her own mother and uncle. They did it so the Daily Mail would put up, I remember this. This is a fascinating case. Both the mother and the uncle got sent to prison. I absolutely remember this case. I've seen it on the internet. Could it be the one-in-law's friends or band members? Yeah, he did play in a rock band. In fact, he said if he wasn't a teacher, that becoming a rock star would be his other goal in life, and he kind of laughed about this. But yeah, I mean, it could be. It absolutely could be. It could be a bunch of guys sitting around wasted one night and talking about how they didn't want to wait for this woman to die. Maybe they think that there's a large inheritance coming to them. There's a lot of places that we can speculate on this. I think you kind of have to balance it a little. I have to balance it a little with the fact that this guy, Ashley Banfield, has said that they're looking at him. I hope it's not Richard Jewell. You know what I mean? I hope it's not another, Elizabeth Smart's dad. I hope it's not someone whose life is going to get completely decimated, because for the rest of eternity, people are going to list and link that in their head. You're that Tommaso guy, you lowlife. I can tell you as a criminal that it doesn't take a lot for people to hold a grudge against you forever. If she even knows the person just enough to know who they are, would they let her live? Would it benefit them to keep her alive? Could they decide the money isn't worth it and leave her to die? That has happened. That has absolutely happened in these cases. There are also, when you take somebody that's this old, the shock to your system, the shock to your heart, right? The terror and the fear is something that somebody at 84 might not live through. That's sad, but it's so cruel. It really is. Did they count the pills in the medicine bottle? We don't know that, Taylor Miller. Unfortunately, we don't know that. But I do think that there is a chance. There's a chance that they could have taken some medication. If it's really a family member, I don't think they would have walked off without, having some pills. He could have been stealing them for the last 3 months, right? This could have been a plan that has been in the making for a while. If it's someone that knows her that well, it certainly seems very odd to me how beautifully they were able to just get through that, that sort of wild desert. They don't clear around the houses. It's designed to let wildlife cruise through the Catalina foothills. And they do. They run by your house all day long. Roadrunners, coyotes, all kinds of animals, rabbits, huge snakes. It's a nonstop thing. And it would be scary as shit to be walking in a place that you didn't know at 2 o'clock in the morning. Magically finding the gate. It's a big property. They find the gate to get into the backyard of this and then instantly locate and knock out those cameras. That seems like a stretch to me. It also seems like amateur hour. Knocking out the cameras isn't going to stop the cloud from having your image. Now, by way of full disclosure, and if we critical think this, they might have showed up with balaclavas on. But if you're going to do the balaclava thing and be that wrapped up, why kill the cameras? Seems like a little redundant to me. I wouldn't put much intelligence in these perpetrators. I agree with you. Why a email for ransom, not video? Seems amateur. Yeah, right? I'm with you, Mop Man. And here's the thing. How easy is it? So back in the day, you got to get a video camera. You got to have that person hold up a newspaper. Now your Apple phone will put a timestamp on this thing, right? It wouldn't have been that hard. If you're already rolling your dice and putting your balls on the table by sending an email, why not just up it this much, right? And send a video that shows proof of life. Because somebody asked, how often does something like this happen? It happens all the time. There are always scumbags. When the Natalie Holloway, the number of people that tried to reach out to that family and say they had information that they could buy, they know where the body is for the right amount of money, they would take her to them. All of this crazy shit. The number of people on this planet that will sell their soul, right, for 7 digits on a check is remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable. And to try to take advantage of people that are at their absolute lowest point, Mop Man, it's enough to make you sick. But it does seem amateurish. I feel like if they went this far, sending the ransom note, they have already screwed themselves royally. They've broken the law and they're going to get caught, I think. I tend to agree with you. And these people, even when someone gets away with this, they don't get away with this. The metadata on a video shows your location, so the kidnappers can't do that. Okay, Woodman. I'm not going to doubt you on that. I feel like that's probably something that's a possibility. If they're not really into computers, just sending an email is going to do metadata. I was researching this today. And if you're not clearing everything out, you're going to send metadata that is going to let them know a lot more about you than you want to. It's hard for me to believe that family could do that to each other. I know it's happened, but it's not something my brain can accept as logical. That's because it's not logical. I have this conversation with my wife on a regular basis, because I do true crime. She does not, but she's fascinated, as a lot of people are, with things like serial killers and, certain types of crime. And she will ask questions and she will say, I can't believe the amount of evil on this planet. And if that's not your takeaway, then I don't understand you. I'll just be really honest with you, because this to me is such a sort of, well, it's proof, isn't it? It's proof that we have absolutely lost our way. These are things that have been going on forever, right? What's his name? Bruno Hauptmann, who was killed for the Lindbergh kidnapping. Kidnappings have been going on forever. This has been a thing for a very long time. People that make money on kidnappings hold people for very short periods of time. The average payout for somebody kidnapped is $27,000. That's worldwide. So 2 million sounds like a lot. If you're one of those kidnappers who thinks, well, normally you get 27,000, maybe we'll ask 2 million. Again, seems like amateur hour. I feel like somebody in the United States who's even thinks like, someone from the United States would have said 5 million, 10 million. 2 seems like a really, really low number to me. Money makes you people do stupid things. You're damn right, Valerie. It's more than evil. It is more evil than years ago. It seems like it. Kung Fu Panda, you bet it is. Kidnappings were up. I can't remember what the percentage was, but I looked it up today. We are getting, I think, progressively getting worse. There may have been times where kidnapping was more prevalent, but the violence, that we have across the board in every aspect of our life now. There are people that come out in politics and say, I hope that my, the candidate I'm running against, I hope his family dies. I hope his kids get raped. Like these kind of things are not things that anyone ever would have said. And we've gotten to a point where we're so intolerant of one another in this society that it's okay to wish someone's death. It's okay to say that you're glad that somebody got killed, right? I mean, I think we've massively lost our way. And I think that this is a trickle down, right? When we start to lose respect for people and for life, this kind of shit makes more sense. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. And these days, if someone in politics dies and they're on the other side, we go out and we party and we make videos. And all of these things, there are generations growing up watching this. Watch any true crime, and I don't mean like what I'm doing right now. Watch cops out in the field or anything like that. Watch people go up to the car and go, I need to see your license, your registration, your proof of insurance. F you. You don't have my permission to do this. This is an epidemic. There's no longer, our bar used to be set a lot higher than it is right now. People don't believe that the police have the right to do anything to them. Go talk to some convicts. Go into prison and ask prisoners what they think about defunding the police. They will laugh their ass off because they would turn this country on its side if there were no police. Would that number have something to do with the Bitcoin foolishness? Well, that's a good question, Cindy G. But you could have sent any amount via Bitcoin. You could have sent any amount, right? So I don't think so, no. Life is so cheap right now. Kung Fu Panda, it is. Every 40 seconds, a child goes missing or is abducted in the United States. Approximately 840,000 children are reported missing each year. I would have to chase that down. I remember reading pretty specifically there was a number in the 380 or 390,000 range, but that might be people that go missing and are never found. I don't know. I would have to chase that down, but I know that it's we are out of control in terms of especially kids. We are out of control. The human trafficking, the things that have gone on consistently for a long time in our country, I guess your country. It's terrifying. It really is. Carla Martin says, I think people are numb to all the violence and aggression. It's horrific, isn't it? But it's the truth. 2 million is absolutely ridiculous. My family could pay half of that between property and 401k, and we're nothing. Well, it's not the money that people would think it is. You know what I mean? $1 million used to be like dude's a millionaire. It doesn't carry the same gravitas that it used to, right? It's not that big a deal. Best answer to the how much have you had to drink today, man? Woman said, not enough. DUI arrest. That's a good one. But I know that this is something that your husband watches. There's one out there, and the way you could look at it is by putting in something about the police not laughing during the funniest DUI stop ever. And it's a kid from Wisconsin who's in Florida. It's one of the funniest. The kid is just absolutely magic. He goes through the field sobriety test. And I know when I bring stuff like this up, people shit on me. That stuff's not funny. It's addiction. Yeah, I know all that. It's hysterical. I'm sorry. It really is. He didn't get hurt. Somebody in Miss Nancy's fear is desperate for money. I agree. This stinks of desperation. And as my wife would say, desperation is a stinky cologne. Yeah, now depending on where you live, $1 million won't pay off the mortgage. Boy, it sure as hell where I live. Oscar is US dollars or euros in Bitcoin. No. So you're not a moron. This is a great question, man. And a lot of other people are asking the same thing. Uh, if you buy Bitcoin, you can convert it into euros. You can convert it into pesos. You can convert it into anything. But when people are buying it, yeah, it's usually listed, at least certainly in the US, it's listed by dollars. So what is the value of a Bitcoin? They will say one coin is worth $80,000 or it's worth 115,000 or wherever it is, but they say it in dollars. Although I'm sure that in China, they're saying it in yen. Yeah. But it's certainly not only is it not untraceable, it's designed to be wildly traceable. You follow me? It's designed to be wildly traceable. Yeah, man, not a problem. And to break it down even more, the smallest. So if a Bitcoin is worth $80,000, how do you spend that? Because I mean, most people who are going in and investing might have $5,000 to invest. How do you buy a fraction of a Bitcoin? And you do it under what they call Satoshis. That is the smallest increment that you can buy in Bitcoin. It is a Satoshi, named after the guy that allegedly wrote the white papers, the person that started this in the first place. Bitcoin is just electronic currency. It is. It is a fiat currency. It is a representation of something. The reason Bitcoin is popular is they're not making any more of it. There was a finite amount of Bitcoin that was generated. And anything, right? Anything that there is a finite amount of, if you can get people to start betting on it, they're going to run out of it, right? It's just that simple. They're never going to run out of dollars. They'll just keep printing more of them. They won't run out of gold. They can continue to mine it, and it's in sand. It's in the ocean. We're getting better every year at finding new ways to find gold. Silver, same way, right? You're not going to run out of these particular commodities. Bitcoin's going to run out. And there aren't too many coins like that. I mean, there aren't too many investments like that, period. Real estate is that way, obviously. And for a non-fungible token, they can't make any more of these. And it is a finite amount. So, and it is fractionalized. That's correct. Into the smallest fraction being the SAT. So if you go and buy coins, you buy them by the SATs, SATs. But again, it's a stupid idea to think that you're going to be able to have this sent to an anonymous wallet. I mean, absolutely. It's like saying, I'm going to have you FedEx something to this one location, right? But no one's going to know where that location is. There's no way to know. When you leave, you got to get on a road and drive away from that location. If they try to take the Bitcoin and convert it into dollars or into pesos or into whatever currency, it's going to leave a transaction. And now you're not going to be able to sort of hide underneath the radar any longer. And that's sort of the reality of it. So again, a lot of this to me looks like amateur hour, if in fact, because we're not 100% sure that these ransom letters are even real, right? For all we know, they're BS. And if that is the case, well, that kind of changes things, doesn't it? Barbara Wade, happy to help. You may as well take it to the post office and exchange it. I mean, honestly, it's a bust, right? It is a bust. I think that there's a chance we're going to find out this is somebody in another country, because this happens a lot. There's a lot of scammers on this planet. Digital currency and digital IDs are traceable and can be turned off. Kung Fu Panda, it is absolutely the fear of electronic currencies. However, with Bitcoin being not our currency, it's an investment, right? However, I'm afraid of a digital currency. I'm afraid of a government controlling your money and having the ability to turn it off. There is no government per se that is running Bitcoin. But I understand exactly what you are saying. Digital currency, this is really like digital gold more than it's like digital currency. Digital currency is like, this is something you're actually spending at every single transaction. You can choose to use Bitcoin or you can choose not to use Bitcoin. If they were to take, like some people theorize, and they have a euro right now, if they were to come out with an Amero, right, which would be $1 for North America, South America, and and Canada and so forth. If we were to do that and that became a digital currency, I'd be scared shitless. I'd be absolutely terrified. The future they want for all of us, I kind of agree with you, Kung Fu Panda. It's the ultimate control, isn't it? Well, that person's no longer being the kind of citizen we want him to be. Well, turn off his money, right? Turn off his money. Make it so he can't buy anything. I think that's frightening. And I also think it's coming. I think it has been foretold that it's coming. But that's just my personal opinion. All right, everybody. I went a little bit longer than I normally go, but there's a lot to talk about on this, and I am going to keep on this one. I know that this is very deeply personal to a lot of people. AI is a curse, man. But do me a favor, everybody. Use this, right? It's like when we talk about Nick Reiner, and I say one of the reasons that this is an important case is if you're codependent, if you've got a nephew, you got a niece, you got a daughter, right? Anybody in your life that is manipulating you, and you're paying for their drug use, or you're giving them a gazillion chances, but you're never letting them stumble and fall. It's kind of a cautionary tale, right? But thank you. Imagine that. But this is absolutely a similar thing in that if you go over to Facebook and you look up Nancy Guthrie, she has way too much information out there. It's literally simple, hindsight being 2020, to look at that page and go, I'll bet you everything that a kidnapper needs to pull off something like this is on this Facebook account. The verification that her daughter is Savannah Guthrie, pictures of their house, the inside of it, the outside of it. This is frightening stuff. And you need to start talking to the people that you love and say, hey, you know what? Make it private. Make it private. Somebody from your high school wants to look you up, let them ask, right? Let them make a request. But protect your ass. Don't put this out there for the entire world to see. That's bad juju. It really is. So anytime that true crime comes up, hey, man, it makes sense to look at this and say, is there anything that we can do, right, to take something away from this? Is there anything that we can do so that when this particular true crime case is over and we're on to the next one, we're a safer group of people because of what we just got through? And I think that especially those of us with elderly parents, take the time to look at what their social media footprint is. This is an evolving world of criminals, right? I was a blue-collar criminal. Now we have white-collar criminals, people that are very good at using the internet as a way to stalk people, to pick out victims. It is absolutely terrifying. 171 watching and 117 on the thumbs. Pick one, up or down, please do. And do me a favor, hit subscribe. I'm trying to get to that silver play button. I am this close to that 100,000 mark. I only need 74,000 or 76,000, and I'm good to go. We're this close. Hit subscribe, people. Then hit the bell for notification, because I am going to go live. I do it at least 2 a day. There are days I do 3. There are days I do 4. There's a lot of true crime going on in the world. There's a lot to talk about. If you want to hear it from the other side, there's a lot of people talking about this and sort of weighing in as if they were another cop. I kind of bring the darker side of this, what most criminals would be thinking, that kind of thing. All right, people. Between now and the next time I see you, stop by and check out Chase the Heat South America and give the Johnny Scoville a follow. He's got seeds, people. He's got fire hot, super hot seeds. It's about to get ugly in South America. And stop by and see that woman right there. That is the significant other. That is my wife. Her channel is called Relatable Reese. It is absolutely hysterically funny. Watch it for a couple of shows and you'll know why I got married. I am Tommy. I will see all of you on the next one. Between now and then, put a little love in your heart. God bless.